I mean, if this works, it's a miracle. Can you put something in my ear back? Okay, great. I was just texting me. Okay. Hour 2, Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We are at the Ameristar Casino Resort in Council Bluffs, Iowa. LSU defeats UCLA 9-5 across the river in Omaha. And I made it over here to talk about it, which is kind of a miracle, if we're being completely honest. Big shout out to Musso and Taylor for humping on and making the first hour possible as I was doing the game on the network, and then wrote my story for LouisianaSports.net, which is up there. If you'd like to go check that out and do some reading here in your afternoon, I'm trusting your morning wasn't wildly productive in the office. So you can go check that out here this afternoon. Be able to do the final hour of my show here from the Ameristar just outside the ESPN vet. So as busy a day as I've ever had in radio, but I certainly wouldn't want to do anything else literally in the world today than be here, watch that, get the call, write the story, and then do a little bit of post game on radio. It's a treat to be here, and LSU is in just phenomenal position at this point after that win over UCLA. Last night was tough, y'all. It was tough. As an LSU fan, Dave Van Horn knows as the Arkansas manager, and certainly you look in that UCLA dugout and you look at John Savage, he knows that LSU's advantage on this bracket is on the arms of Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson. All know that these tournaments can be grueling on a pitching staff. You've watched it, and we talk about the great performances that LSU's gotten over the years when you have to advance through the weeks, and you can't always have your ace out there on the mound. But for LSU, the clearest path through this thing is Anderson in game 1, Ianson in game 2. Hopefully they rest your bullpen significantly. You win a pair of games, which LSU generally does when those guys are on the mound, and then you figure it out from there with the deep pitching staff that is somewhat inconsistent at times, but is very talented and can do some things for you. You just don't allot for 3 innings for Anthony Ianson. And no, Arkansas did not allow for an inning and 2/3 by Zach Root back on Saturday night, but you just got to roll with the punches. And LSU did that today. I was pretty bummed out yesterday. Not that I thought LSU's path to the national championship was completely blown up, but it's just not the way you want it to go. You want Ianson to go get you at least 18 outs, and for him to only be able to give you 9, just half of that, it's because then you look at this and you're like, okay, do you go to Evans right now? Do you go to Evans right now? That's your guy. He's your best arm. He threw it awesome in the regional, saved your season. That's the dude. But he's also the guy that you'd like to throw at that Arkansas lineup if you see him again. on Wednesday. And you don't have the opportunity to do that if you go to them right here. Do you want to have yourself in a situation where in a game potentially get to the college, to get to the final, that you really only got Cowan and Rizzi and Primo and that group of pitchers like that? Well, do you want to use those guys against potentially Arkansas on Wednesday? Or do you want to try to go to those guys with a 2-run lead against UCLA when your offense is seeing it pretty good and you know that you're not going to see an ace from UCLA? That's a decision that Jay Johnson had to make. And, I know that I'm here to give opinions. I know that I'm here to stand my ground and pick a side and to argue for that point on talk radio. But I could absolutely see it both ways. I know that when you go out there in the 4th inning, to start the top of the 4th inning, you are about to face 3 straight left-handed hitters. I could have absolutely seen a spot there where you – let's see who was actually up. I know just from doing the game that it was 3 straight lefties. But to start the 4th, it was Brennan, Balls, and Duger. That's 6, 7, 8 in the lineup, and they're all left-handed. Maybe in a spot where you're counting outs, maybe that's where you go to Cooper Williams for those first 3. And then you assess where you are. And if he looked great, send him back out there. If it got a little bumpy, you can go to Evans at that point. If your offense explodes and gives you a 6 spot in the next inning, you realize that you can make some decisions based off of that. I could see that. I thought that was a reasonable thing to do. I also thought it was very reasonable to hand the ball to Case and Evans and say, go finish the game. Go finish the game. And he didn't do that, but he was awesome. And what you have to do against this UCLA offense is make sure the leadoff man doesn't reach base. Because when the leadoff man doesn't reach base, they can't get into their bunt game. They can't do the things they want to do to create pressure on the defense when you start getting 1 and 2 outs. You can't be creative on the base pass in terms of stealing bases. You can't get bunts down. You can't manufacture runs with infield hits. It's just they want to do things that way, and you didn't let them get the leadoff man on base. UCLA got the leadoff man on base 1 time in 9 innings, and it was the first inning when they scored 3 runs. The first inning when they scored 3 runs. And that did not allow them to get anything going. They had 9 hits, but 8 of them were singles and 3 of them were on the infield. And that's just not going to create a ton of offense. Now, UCLA would like to think that 5 runs is enough to win a game with the way that they feel like they can mix and match with their pitching staff. But the way that LSU played offense didn't allow for that, and the Tiger pitching did what it needed to do. Cooper Williams looked good to come out there and start the game. Not start the game. Looked good to come out in relief of Case and Evans. He was throwing the ball over the plate, and then he lost his command. And I jinxed the pitching staff, I'm convinced, when I started talking on the broadcast today, and I said, look, this is a pitching staff that's come out in the first 16 innings that it has worked in Omaha. 9 innings against Arkansas and 7 innings against UCLA, and you have issued 2 walks in 16 innings. And that's how you win games. Zach Root didn't get knocked all over the place on Saturday. Zach Root went out there and walked 2 guys and hit a guy, and the first 2 guys that he walked scored. Give up a bunt single, a blooper into left field from Stanfield. There you go. That's a 3 spot. That's what you can't do in that ballpark. You got to make teams earn. And then, of course, after I say 16 innings, 2 walks, LSU comes out there in the 8th inning. And I thought after you got Chalowski pop up, foul to first base to open the 8th inning, I'm looking at that going, well, that's their most fierce hitter. He's in the 2-hole. You're not going to see him again. You've already got 1 out in the 8th. You only got 5 more to go. Like, you're in a beautiful spot. And then Levu hit 1 hard on a 2-2 pitch through the right side, and then advanced a second on the wild pitch. You hit Martin, and that's when that was Evans. That's when you went to Cooper Williams. And then you walked Salgado. There was a fielder's choice, which was a really good play by Dickinson to go get the ball to his left, throw it to second base, which was an aggressive defensive play, but he executed it properly. And then Balls gets the infield single, and then you walk Doug. So all of a sudden now you've got the bases loaded and 2 outs. You've given them 3 bases in this inning, plus a wild pitch, which actually ended up hurting you because you walked the next guy. But you've given them 3 free bases in this inning, and you've opened up the door. And Jay Johnson goes to Chase Shores in that spot. And we have talked all year about Chase Shores and that part of the pitching staff, the non-Anderson, not Einson, not Evans, and not Cowan for the most of the year. Everybody else, when you get into regional play, you get into a super, you get to Omaha, which one of those guys is going to step up? And you hand the ball to Chase Shores, and he comes out there and flips the first pitch breaking ball over there to Call, who rolled over it to shortstop, and you got out of the jam. You were looking at loss in the face there if you're not careful. If Shores throws one to the backstop, or if Shores walks the next guy, like that's going to be a big problem. And he did. He threw strikes, got out of that inning, and then LSU adds to it with the Jerry Jones single, which was phenomenal. We'll talk about offense in the next segment, but that was great to see. And look, Chase Shores goes through 1, 2, 3 in the UCLA order: West, Chalowski, and Levu, and he did it for ease. You held Chalowski to 0 for 5. You held UCLA to 1 extra base hit. Looking at their statistics right here, they only walked twice. They weren't hit by 2 pitches. UCLA left 7 men on base. 4 of them were by the 9-hole hitter call. It was the bases loaded in the 8th inning, and then 1 more. That's the guy, if you're LSU, that you want coming to the pitch with runners on base, and LSU was able to put him away. I just thought that it was such a solid effort in the face of adversity because you just couldn't have planned for that, and that's the reason. I know a lot of y'all have said this last night, this morning, that's why LSU doesn't start these games. You're down in Baton Rouge, and the radar sucks. And I know that sitting through those sun delays gets really old and really annoying, but that's just what Jay Johnson wants to avoid. And it probably cost you Case and Evans for tomorrow. It probably did. We're going to talk about pitching down the line, and I want to preview what Arkansas and UCLA have on the mound. Arkansas has, as I was told leaving the press box today, Arkansas has announced that Root will start in the game tonight, should they play tonight. And you'd like to have Case and Evans in the game, whoever it is, Arkansas or UCLA tomorrow, but you're not going to. But you're responsible. And this team has done time and time again, and they put themselves in the most advantageous position that they have been in 16 years. And you love to see that. So LSU wins at 9-5. I'm talking about it here with the Ameristar in Council Bluffs, just across the river from Omaha. Was planning on getting up at 8 o'clock this morning, heading over to the ballpark, and got it done. LSU wins 9-5, and now you sit back and wait in the winner's bracket. Coastals and the winner's bracket on the other side. They'll play in the afternoon. All right, let's come back and talk about this LSU offense. We've got a lot I want to get to in the way that they handle themselves over the last 24 hours. We'll do that when we come back on this Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Jonathan Carver and his team, phenomenal folks to deal with in the insurance game. I tell you this all the time. Their expertise is why you should deal with them. I know that most of the time when we think about insurance, we immediately go to premium. That's where your eyes are immediately drawn. And that's important. And Highland Insurance Group is an independent broker. They've got access to dozens of markets. They can place your program where the premium is extremely competitive. But the most important thing when you pay the premium is then that it responds properly when there's a loss. Hurricane, car accident, lawsuit, cyber attack, whatever the case may be, you want to make sure that once you've paid your good money as a business for the premium, that the policy responds. And that's what they do at the Howard Insurance Group. They'll audit your policy for free. You want them to look at your policy and see if you're properly placed and if your coverage reads properly. They will do that for free. The Howland Insurance Group, Jonathan Carver and his team right here in Baton Rouge. Check them out online at HighlandIG.com, HighlandIG.com.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
LSU in the opener?
Yes. Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show from Council Bluffs, Iowa. We're at the Ameristar Casino Resort just outside the ESPN Bet Sportsbook, across the river from Charles Schwab Series. LSU wins the resumption of last night's game, 9-5 over UCLA. And I really thought it was an impressive effort by LSU offensively. I thought they did things the way you have to do things in that ballpark. And it resulted in 9 runs on 12 hits. And you scored 9 runs and left 10 men on base. That's consistent traffic. That's consistent hard contact. That's consistent pressure on an opposing pitching staff that ended up having to use 9 pitchers in this game. You go back to last night. Look, that was jarring for Ianson to give up a 3-spot in the first inning. Jarring. And LSU didn't flinch. You come out there, Jake Brown for an 0-2 pitch, singles through the right side, through the shift to play to run. Jared Jones then comes up with the absolute missile into the seats, and well, that didn't quite get to the seats in right center field as a home run to right center field. But it was a ball, and I said this on the morning show if y'all were listening to me with Matt and Jake this morning. From my vantage point in the radio, I'm conditioned in that ballpark when the ball leaves at that type of angle to dismiss it. Like, because you just don't think that the ball is going to get out. Like, I'm fully aware that Jared Jones is the biggest, strongest dude on the field. But still, when the ball gets up in the air like that, in that wind condition which was coming in that ballpark, like, I don't have very high hopes. And so when the outfielder kept backing up, I was like, oh, God. And then it went over. I couldn't believe it. And then I watched the highlight on Twitter and saw that Jones really crushed that ball. It was 110 off the bat. And that makes a lot of sense. But he can do that. He's one of the few guys on the team in the tournament that can do that. So that's a huge swing with a 3-run homer. Luis Hernandez, 0-1 pitch, singles up the middle on the ground. Stephen Milam on the 1-1 pitch, singles up the middle on the ground. Jake Brown singles sharply to right field on a 0-1 pitch. All those at-bats were really, really good. 4 of those hits were down and hard, like we talk about all the time in that ball. You've got to hit it down and hard. If you're Jared Jones, you don't have to. You can swing and hit a ball into the stands. And then you got a little bit fortunate when Daniel Dickinson singled to right field on that 2-2 pitch. But he did a good job to put the bat in. And if you're going to do that against anybody who can appreciate it and not think, oh, it's another duck snort hit, it's UCLA. Because they are very, very content to just slap balls here and there, put the bat on the ball here and there. They're not really even trying to drive the ball. And LSU got one from Dickinson there on the pop-up to the right side. And then Jones to bat in the eighth was so sweet. I mean, so sweet. You got Hawk out there on the mound, which, by the way, that's just terrible decision by John Savage to go to your closer in that spot. I don't know if that means you can't use him tonight, but when you're down by 4 runs, going to your closer at that point was not very bright, in my opinion. But he did, and Jones didn't care. He just ripped it in the right center field for an RBI single, which was awesome. And for me, LSU offensively was just great in this game. That's a UCLA pitching staff that is decorated as far as its numbers go. I've been telling you since the middle of last week that I don't think it's an overly talented staff. I think that there were 2 guys you saw in this game that are SEC level from in terms of just stuff. I thought Randall was that. But he's been a 1-inning guy for them really all year. His season-long outing is an inning and 2/3, and that's what he did today, an inning and 2/3. He struck 3 guys out, but you saw him kind of run out of gas and lose his release point a little bit at 1 2/3 innings. But Randall's got big-time stuff, 97, 98 on the fastball and a pretty good slider. And then Ethan Hawk, the closer, has big-time stuff. But LSU got 2 hits on him. So you'll take that. LSU, again, saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pitchers from UCLA, rolled up 9 runs, and only struck out 7 times. And I told you yesterday, days are really becoming a bit of an issue out here. But I told you yesterday that I thought that LSU would not strike out as much as they did against that rested Arkansas staff. UCLA just not that kind of team. They don't pitch to strikeouts, and they don't strike out very much offensively. And LSU did a good job of hanging in there, and only struck out 7 times in the game. So awesome stuff for LSU offensively in this game. And keep in mind, 2 straight games against Arkansas and UCLA, who are both in the top 10 in the country in fielding percentage. LSU does not have an error. And I thought you saw some really special plays that LSU made in this game defensively. I thought that Dickinson made a couple of really nice plays. I thought that he did a great job getting the fielder's choice in the 8th inning. He went to his left. He could have taken the easy throw to first, and I would have liked that play. But instead, he made a strong throw to second base and made that play. It was excellent. I thought, and I don't know exactly where this was in the game, if you'll remember it, it was a leadoff hitter. Let's see. Maybe I'll find it on the scorecard. It was a leadoff hitter today. So it was in the 6th inning. Roman Martin hit a rocket shot to lead off the 6th inning. And at that point, the score is 7-3. And Martin hits a rocket toward Dickinson. And if you'll remember the play, Dickinson blocked it up with his body in front of him, picked it up, and made the throw to first base to retire the leadoff man. Far, far, far too often, especially in college baseball. When that ball is hit on a line that's one hop and a short hop, you're going to have a second baseman, a third baseman, some sort of infielder try to play it off to the side and pick it with the backhand or pick it with the glove side. And they're not good enough to do that. And it's going to get through. It's going to be a leadoff single. And Dickinson did not try to do that. He gave his body up, knocked it down, picked it up, and threw it to first base. I thought that was a huge play in the game, because if you let that leadoff base runner on in the 6th inning, and then Salgado actually singled next, and you may have an issue on your hands because you got an offense that's cruising, picking up some momentum, and LSU didn't allow that. And the next play, as we're talking about defense, was the ground ball to Milam, where he fielded it, had almost a collision with Dickinson at second base, and then threw on to first base for the double play. He was ruled out, challenged it, and he was back out. But that was another incredible defensive play in the infield for LSU. And I thought one of the keys to the game was going to be infield defense, because UCLA doesn't strike out a lot. They hit the ball hard on the ground a lot, and you've got to make the plays. And LSU, for 9 innings, did not make it. And turning double plays, you're giving your body up, you're picking the ball clean. I just thought it was great. I thought LSU all around played great. Here's the deal. I have seen so many teams come to Omaha and just not play their best. And that's hard to prevent. Like, it's not like game planning usually. It's just, hey, guy kicked the ground ball. Hey, guy got caught guessing and took a 1-2 pitch right down the chute. Hey, picked off. Like, this just happened when you get here. It's baseball. And LSU hasn't really blinked through 2 games. The only, small issue was putting guys on in the 8th inning. You hit a guy, walked a guy, and then walked another guy. But you ended up getting out of it. That was the only real hiccup that LSU has had in 18 innings of baseball. And that's all you can ask for if you're Jay Johnson. LSU was so rock solid against Arkansas back one Saturday. With only 2 walks issued, no errors. You come back today, don't give them free bases. You play great defense, and you came up with huge 2-out hitting that presented 5 runs for you. And in the end, you win the game 5-4. So I thought it was another great effort from the LSU Tigers, and now you're in a really advantageous spot. So when we come back, I want to talk about what Arkansas is doing, because they've announced their starting pitcher, what UCLA has left, and then we'll talk about what LSU needs to do in tomorrow. Certainly, we've got a little bit of that to talk about on tomorrow's show. It should be a little bit more traditional than this one, where I called the game, wrote a story in the press box after the post-game show, got in Chris Blair's car, did a radio segment on my own show on the way to the Ameristar, then blasted into the casino, set up all this equipment that I had no idea how to set up as of 5 days ago in time to do the second hour of the show. So it's been a little bit of a fire drill, but we're settled here now. And so tomorrow will be a little bit easier going. But for today, we're just trying to do as best we can. And we'll talk about what is coming tonight with the game between UCLA and Arkansas when we come back.
She probably been gone for like 15 minutes. Don't occupy this? Yeah.
Provide you with various solutions for personal and business checking, savings, loans, and competitive CD rates. Let's get started. Call me, Jennifer Knapp, 25719-1578.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Progressive knows words without your pet can be tough.
Hi, this is Next Stop Dog Boarding.
Hi, it's Scott again. How's Squeak doing? You can tell if he's stressed by his eyebrow, and his breathing should sound like this.
Scott, Squeaks is exactly the same as last time you called.
Okay, let's talk in 20 to see if anything's changed.
With Progressive, your pet is covered up to $1,000 in vet bills in case of a car accident. So next time, you can take your pet with you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Coverage for dogs and cats is included with the purchase of collision coverage. Terms.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. I want to let you know that we have a local office in Baton Rouge that is able to handle your case with care and attention. After being in an accident, the last thing you want to do is travel. Our local hometown attorneys are here to ensure you receive the highest quality legal service and help get you the compensation you deserve. Reach out to our team of local attorneys to handle your case. Call us at 225-888-8888.
Get going. Hey, get it done. Get going.
So to be very pleased with the next case, Baton Rouge, LA 22-13-644.
Boudreaux's Electrical is giving back. A family in need right here in our community will get a Generac whole home standby generator installed for free this December. Do you know a deserving family who could use reliable backup power? Nominate them by submitting their story and information on BoudreauxElectrical.com.
We'll pick the winner on Thanksgiving Day and install the generator just in time for the holidays. Boudreaux's Electrical, proudly serving our community in Louisiana for over 40 years.
BoudreauxElectrical.com.
Facing ED or low T can be frustrating, but it doesn't have to hold you back. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers effective treatments starting at $125 a month with no contract. Visit yourgoodwood.com and take control of your health.
When you're stocking up for game day, you need to take Flight by Yuengling. It's the crisp and cool light beer with just 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. Brewed by Yuengling, the oldest brewery in America. Flight by Yuengling, the next generation of light beer. D.G. Yuengling & Son, Pottsville, Pennsylvania.
Looking for your next adventure without the commitment? Check out our rentals at All-Star Toyota. When you rent, not only will you get 7 days for the price of 6, you can try before you buy. Rent any of our new vehicles, sedans, trucks, SUVs, and try out your choice. And the best part, if you love it, you can buy it. Try before you buy at All-Star Toyota on Airline at Goodwood.
104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge. Live from Omaha, powered by Our Lady of the Lake, Championship Health, everybody, and presented by GoFlow Ivy Spa and Yuengling Flight. You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
right, Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Happy edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Tigers win it this morning into the afternoon by a final score of 9-5. Let's talk about the game tonight that we think is going to be played tonight between Arkansas and UCLA. Here's the deal: the forecast is not good, and the deal is that they need a clean radar from now through 10 o'clock tonight, and the odds of that aren't great. So maybe this game between Louisville and Oregon State gets paused in the middle. Maybe it doesn't. If it does, they may have to finish tonight, which could push UCLA back a day. There are a lot of things at play here that can alter the way that you want to pitch, or you have to pitch these games moving forward. I'm going to say something that's pretty strongly worded, but I do believe it right now after watching. I don't believe that UCLA can beat LSU twice. If UCLA finds enough pitching to beat Arkansas tonight afternoon or whenever they play that game, I do not believe UCLA is good enough on the mound and dangerous enough at the plate to beat LSU on consecutive days. And I think that one of those two, likely the third game, Kate Anderson would pitch. And I think that LSU would win that game. It's baseball. Anything can happen. But if you're asking me to break down this bracket and what's left of it, I think UCLA is too taxed and not talented enough on the mound and dangerous enough on offense to beat LSU twice. They used 8 pitchers in this game. I believe they used 6 in the first game. I do have that box score right here, so let me make sure I'm correct. They definitely used 8 in the game against LSU, and in the game against Murray, UCLA, who was the home team here, they used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They used 6 pitchers. So the plan for John Savage is to continue to use guys 10 to 25 pitches at a time. If he threw Barnett in the game on Saturday against Murray State, and then after Barnett, he threw Moss for 5. Moss for 5, May for 13, O'Connor for 14, Souza for 21, and Hawk for 18. I don't care that you know who those guys are, who they're not, but all of them threw between 5 and 21 pitches in that game. And then you go to the game from last night into today against LSU. Stump 56 as the starter, and then the bullpen guys: Grotu 17, Moss 24, Randall 32, May 16, Connor 15, Souza 13, Hawk 13. And of the arms that I watched from UCLA over the last 2 days, including the ones that we watched on Saturday against Murray, none of that scares me. LSU feel like on a given game against UCLA, certainly 2 given games, that in one of those games you're going to 7, 8, 9, 10 runs. I think that against his UCLA pitching staff, I think it's a bunch of 90 to 93 sinker slider guys who got a lot of Big Ten out that did not necessarily translate to getting SEC hitters out. Yeah, they got Murray State out. You saw Murray State face the SEC yesterday. How'd that go? They almost got a hit. They almost made contact. It was not good. So if UCLA finds a way against Arkansas, I think the Tigers are ticketed for the championship. I don't know what UCLA is going to do in terms of pitching. All these guys have pitched, whether it's 20 pitches, 40 pitches, 9 pitches, whatever, and they'll try to piece it all together against them. Arkansas is the interesting team. Arkansas is the threat to LSU, in my opinion. And Arkansas has decided that Zach Root's going to start. So LSU is not going to see Zach Root the next 2 days unless he throws. I mean, I can't even imagine a situation where LSU would see Zach Root. So that piece is off the table for Arkansas against LSU. So what do they have? Well, it depends on how long Root can go in this game and what the score is and who they've got to go to out of the bullpen. The guys who can give Arkansas significant length outside of Root are Landon Vitalshees, who started a lot of game 3s for them this year. He's a left-hander that's kind of soft tossing by SEC standards. LSU saw him in the Sunday game you got Will McIntyre, who's a grizzled veteran who does not have great stuff, but has been a starting pitcher in Arkansas over his long tenure there in Fayetteville, and can definitely be a guy that goes 5 innings here or there.
So that's a guy that you could see in the game tomorrow. I think that those two are the most likely starting candidates. And I think that if Arkansas and LSU got to a Thursday, which is the spot that you saw Brett Lauder and Paul Skeens come back from, I think that would set up another Cade Anderson, Gabe Gackle game. That's what you're kind of looking at. So in a Wednesday game, which is tomorrow, it's going to be LSU's bullpen against Arkansas's bullpen, basically. And we'll see who Arkansas has available based on what they have to do against UCLA. And if it got to Thursday, I think the big guns would come back out. So that's what you're looking for in this side of the bracket. Obviously, the best ticket to win the national championship is to have Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson ready to go in the championship series. For that to happen, LSU is going to need to win tomorrow. If you don't, you're going to have to throw Cade Anderson on Thursday, I think. Now, here's where things change a little bit from 2023 for LSU as we're mapping this thing out. Work with me. Arkansas beats UCLA tonight. Sets up a Wednesday game. Arkansas beats LSU behind Landon Beidelshees, and they go to a couple of those bullpen arms that are super talented. And they beat LSU in a game where LSU throws Zach Cowan and DJ Primo and Maverick Ritchie and Connor Ware, and Arkansas wins. And then you set up Cade Anderson and Gabe Gackle, and if LSU loses, we don't have another discussion. They're done. But if Anderson beats Arkansas again and gets you to the championship series, he's burned. He throws on Saturday. He throws Thursday. He's burned. Saturday in the championship series opener, have Anthony Ianson ready to go. And then I think on Sunday, Kason Evans would be ready to go. Kason Evans in the game today threw 68 pitches. So 68 pitches on Tuesday. You have Wednesday off, Thursday off, Friday off, Saturday off. That's 4 days rest. That's normal big league rest. It's the same amount of rest that Cade Anderson would have coming back on Thursday. And I think Evans would be absolutely ready to go and get to 80, 85 pitches. So in the 2023 series, you knew that Ty Floyd could start the first game, just like you would have Anthony Ianson ready to go in this instance. After that, you really didn't know. And that's why you got crushed in the game on Sunday against Florida. But you had Thatcher Hurd ready to go, and I would suggest that having Kason Evans ready to go is better than having Thatcher Hurd ready to go. So while this is not an ideal situation, you would rather go Anderson, Ianson, Cowan, and then have Anderson ready to go in game one. Evans, not Cowan. And have Anderson ready to go in game one of the championship series. You still are on track to have Ianson and Evans ready to go in the championship series if you can. So if you're an LSU fan, I think this is pretty simple. You're pulling for UCLA to find a way to beat Arkansas. And the way to beat Arkansas is to have Arkansas hit like Arkansas has hit for 2 days. Arkansas scored 1 run on LSU on Saturday, and then came back on Monday and scored 3 on Murray State. Murray State hadn't gotten anybody out in 3 weeks. They've just hit their way through. And so it's an Arkansas offense that's not hitting. And that sounds familiar to the chorus I was singing 2 years ago about Wake Forest. Wake Forest just did not hit when they got here. And you look at back in 2017, Oregon State's offense went away. And maybe Arkansas's offense is going away. They're going to claim they got a big shot of life from that no-hitter. And maybe they did. And it certainly saved their bullpen. But that's not the problem. The bullpen's not the problem. Their offense is the problem. So hopefully UCLA, with this approach of throwing 50 pitchers per game, can limit Arkansas. And if UCLA advances, throwing all these pitchers another time, I just don't see a way to take down LSU in back-to-back days. That seems to me to be unlikely. But baseball is a crazy sport. It was unlikely that LSU was going to beat Oregon State, who was 56-4 when they stepped on the field for that first game. Great win for LSU. You're in as good a spot as you could be given the weather draw. And now you sit back and wait, get off your feet, and hope that you only have to play one more time before you get to the championship. So I'm going to say this as we kind of wrap that discussion and get to our final segment here. Probably a few of you listening that were thinking, if we get to the championship series, I'm probably going to go. Gas up the cars. Let's go. Once in a lifetime, maybe, your one chance to get up here and see LSU potentially win a national championship. The crowd's been a little bit light by LSU standards, and I get that. It's expensive, and a lot of folks came up here 2 years ago, and it's easy for me to sit here and say that when the company's paying me to come up here and work. I get it. But it's a great place to come. It's a phenomenal trip, and now you've got a little bit of – you usually don't punch your ticket to the next round at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Hop in the car, get on up here. Let's paint this place purple and gold like it was 2 years ago for that championship series. LSU's guaranteed to play 2 more games. So it's not like you're going to come up here, watch them lose in 3 hours, and have to drive on home. Just give it some thought. I know you and that person have talked about it, and that person talked about it. Hey, well, should we ever just get in the car and go? Just think about getting in the car and going. Again, easy for me to say, but I'm just putting that bug in your ear. Might be the time to make that decision, take that plunge, and get on up here to Omaha. If you do, come on by the Ameristar. The sportsbook is awesome. The food here is fantastic. A lot of awesome gaming options down on the casino floor. Rooms are great. The convenience to Charles Schwab Field is incredible. I was able to get over here in time after post game to set up and do my show quickly because we're so close to the ballpark at Charles Schwab. So I'm going to take one more time out. I'm going to go check out the score of the elimination game that's going on right now. We'll get you an update on that as we get out of here. But appreciate y'all for hanging out on the Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. Every car that is on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. Whether it's a sedan, SUV, whatever your situation is, Genesis has got a model for you. And the good news is that model is guaranteed to be an IHA top safety pick because every model on the line, from the entry level all the way up to the highest end, is an IHA top safety pick. Some are top safety picks plus. When I say Genesis, you should think luxury. When you think luxury, don't think, oh, I can't afford that. Give it a look. You might be surprised. You can check out the inventory at genesisofbatonrouge.com. If you like to test drive it, you don't even have to set foot on the lot. They will come to you for a test drive, whether you're at the office, whether you're at home. Remote test driving is an incredible perk of being a Genesis member. So reach out at genesisofbatonrouge.com. They're at Airline and Pico across the street from Women's Hospital. It's genesisofbatonrouge.com.
This is Ben McDonald for First South Farm.
Yo.
Hey, it's Hunt Palmer.
Wait. Are you doing? Can you hear me?
Hey.
Hey, promo.
Yeah. You ready?
Hold on. All right, go ahead.
Hey, it's on. Join me for a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by, I can't remember the name of the pools company. It's a Renaissance Homes and Pools. All right. Hey, it's on. Join me for a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Renaissance Homes and Pools from the Ameristar in Council Bluffs across the river from Omaha. LSU awaits its final bracket 2 opponent. We'll break it down and get you updates from the College World Series. The Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
That might be too long.
Okay.
I can't hear.
Good.
It's good. Okay.
Your summer starts here. Summer weddings are in full bloom. Find the perfect wedding bands or a thoughtful gift for the happy couple at Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Have an anniversary or birthday on the horizon? Mark the moment with something truly timeless. From fine jewelry to classic timepieces, give a gift that lasts forever. Something personal, meaningful, and meant to be cherished for generations. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. 2 locations in Baton Rouge, on Corporate at Bocage, and in the Mall of Louisiana, Lafayette, Shreveport, and also New Orleans. LMFJ.
In times of need, a list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Turnaround services, specialty welding, Action Industries, in action.
Live from Omaha, powered by Our Lady of the Lake, Championship Health for everybody, and presented by GoFlow Ivy Spa and Yingling Flight. This is the Hunt Show on 1045 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, wrapping things up here on a wild Tuesday for me. That's a full. When did we start? I guess I started up at about 9:15 this morning on the air, and it's now 3. So that's let's do some quick math there. That's 3. That's 6.5 hours of broadcasting, writing, traveling, all the like. But I wouldn't have it any other way. It's been a great day for LSU. Tigers have put themselves in a phenomenal position here in the College World Series, and they'll now await the winner of UCLA and Arkansas in the bracket final to earn a berth in the World Series Championship Series. Right now, across the river, Charles Schwab Stadium is Louisville, Oregon State. Nothing. They play in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Winner of that game will have to come back and beat Coastal Carolina twice. And we'll see just kind of what the future holds today as far as the weather goes. You certainly can't control that or predict it, and you can't really play for it because you don't know what's going to happen. Last night was really frustrating, I think, for LSU. But they come out on the other side just okay, and you just kind of hope that it all works out the rest of the way. Now it's Arkansas and UCLA's issue to deal with the weather over the next 24 hours before they come and play LSU. We got one more order of business here to do this Tuesday, and that is, of course, take it or leave it.
Leave it. Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by Ameristar. It's not stories of sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Just take it. Shout out to Flight by Yingling. Phenomenal summer beer. In fact, the next generation of light beer. Golf course, fast pool, tailgating, and out to that water. When you try, you there, back? And all my so-called friends. Back, are you there? Can you? Now you're back. Guess we got some technical difficulties, so I can hear back in some point, and then I'll go ahead and chat with it. But right now, I can't. I'll give you kind of my thoughts on what else he does from a pitching perspective coming out of tomorrow. I think that it's likely Zach Cowan, right? Maybe Jaden Newt gets the ball, but I think it's likely Zach Cowan. That didn't go awesome in his try in the regional against Little Rock, but he's got starting experience. He does have the ability to give you a little bit of length. I don't think that 55, 60 pitches would be a problem at all for him. So I think that's a real good option for you. If you decide to go with Newt, I can't complain about that either. He threw it great until he didn't in the regional. So I think that those are probably the 2 guys, and then you play it by ear based on how things materialize over the early innings. I think I got you now, Beck. You got some take it or leave it for me?
Yes, I saw the first one. The game will finish. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to. I haven't looked at the weather because I now don't care. I don't have to. I don't have to be there. I don't have to worry about LSU's pitching. I'll leave it. I think it's likely to struggle to get it in. It seems like the window is not very good. But look, they're willing to start all the way up till 11 o'clock. Maybe that ends up working out and they get it in. The weather looks okay right now. I'm watching on TV, and there's no issue at the moment.
But that thing kind of came out of nowhere based on my eye yesterday. I didn't think twice about the weather yesterday until someone in the Bayou Ford chat came up and said, "Hey, the weather looks terrible." And I looked up the radar and I was like, "Oh, I didn't even consider that because it's been sunny the whole time I've been here." And that thing was supposed to. It looked like it was going to come in and just fly right through, and we'd be back on the field in 45 minutes. And instead, moving really fast, we got to Omaha and just sat down. It just never stopped raining. I left the ballpark in the rain at 10:45. So it just you never know with the summer weather, and I tend to think they're going to have trouble getting both of these games played. But right now they're through 3 innings and they're moving right along over there. So we'll see.
Nick for one here. I got some news for PJ Jay Monahan stepping down at the end of this contract in 2026, and it will transition to day-to-day responsibilities of running the circuit to new CEO Brian Rolap, who was working in the NFL for quite some time. Good riddance. Make sure to leave it.
It's a tough spot for Jay Monahan. I'll leave that. I don't know enough details. He was tasked with the toughest moment in the history of that position as commissioner of the tour when you had Saudi come in and try to buy golf, and no one had ever dealt with that. There wasn't really a blueprint on how to handle it. Do I think he did a perfect job? I do not. I think that there were some significant issues in communication, but it's tough to negotiate with someone who has the whole piggy bank when you don't. So I'm not going to blame it all on him, but it wasn't great. There's a 2-run home run by Louisville. They now lead 3-0 in the bottom of the third inning.
All right, that's it.
That's all we got. Okay. So, oh man, they hit another one. I'm curious to see if this ball gets out as I'm watching live. It didn't. It almost got out. It one hopped up against the wall. I noticed the wind at the ballpark today was changing a little bit, and that's maybe partly due to the weather. I'm not a meteorologist. I don't know. But you had a deal in the first 3 days of the College World Series where the wind was really blowing in hard and the park was playing massive. Jared Jones got it out, but like no one else really could. You saw a ball that Louisville just hit out earlier. That ball left the bat at 106 miles an hour. It didn't get out, so maybe that's not a ringing endorsement of the park playing a little bit smaller, but it did feel like today the home run was a little bit more possible. No one really got one up in the jet stream that should have been a home run and wasn't, so I can't speak to it exactly, but there were moments where the wind was blowing a little bit out to right field. There were moments when the flags were laying down and there wasn't wind blowing at all. It's a deal where it changes day to day and really probably game to game. So seeing a ball jump out of the yard for Louisville, I like to see that because I think LSU's got the ability to hit the ball out of the ballpark. And if I'm going to play UCLA, I love the wind blowing out. I think LSU's got a much better chance to drive the ball out of the yard than UCLA does with their flat approaches and kind of lining the balls through the infield when they swing it that well. So I'll be curious to see how the weather impacts this game and the game if they play tonight because it looks a little bit different. The ball maybe jumping a little bit more for Louisville and Oregon State. We are here at the Ameristar in Council Bluffs. Appreciate Musso and
30.
Taylor for jumping aboard and helping me out with hour number one as I was in transit from Charles Schwab here to our spot on location at the Ameristar. Tigers win it, so they'll play tomorrow night against the winner of UCLA and Oregon State. I will be able to do my show normal time tomorrow, so looking forward to that. If you missed today's show, catch it on demand. Have a wonderful Tuesday evening. I'm planning on it, and we'll see you tomorrow for another edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Hey, it's not coming to you from the Ameristar. I don't need to say that.
Call for a free analysis at 225-756-2644. Gulf Coast Office Products, your workforce efficiency lifeline.
Turnaround season is here. And for any upcoming turnaround project, choose the expert at the Advanced Turnaround Group from Action Industries. The Advanced Turnaround Group provides unmatched experience in turnaround management, specialty welding services, and personalized attention. With 24-hour emergency availability, trust the Advanced Turnaround Group, whose entire careers focus on turnaround excellence. Learn more at actionindinc.com. The Advanced Turnaround Group, subsidiary of Action Industries.
Progressive knows road trips without your pet can be tough.
Hi, this is